I feel like I owe myself an apology. I've just been doing some thinking and wow. So I was reflecting on something. There's a quote that goes, "We are kept from our goal, not by obstacles, but by a clearer path to a lesser goal." And the quote was attributed to Robert Brault, if you're interested. But what stood out for me with that was I kept initially thinking to myself, no, I don't have any regrets. There aren't things that maybe I'm pursuing that are lesser goals than what I wanted, You'd be defensive with that. But then I decided to take a step back. I put together a story based on this thinking to teach people about it. Only that as I was doing that, the story actually taught me. I back across my life and I wondered whether there were things I would look back on right now so far and regret. But most of the things I thought of, I couldn't regret. However, it was the smaller things that made me question and wonder. I don't regret the big decisions I've made, but I do wonder about some smaller decisions. For example, I feel like I've taken longer with my PhD, not because I was lazy, but because I was fearful. So that fear, because it was unnamed for a long time, was insidious. It festered, it played, it whispered in my ear when I knew I needed to do something, but I wouldn't do it. So I knew, for example, that I needed to work on my literature review for a while, but I didn't feel confident in doing literature reviews. I just thought whatever I did would not be good enough. And as a result, I just wasted so much time that I could have spent reading and just writing, even if it was a bad one, just getting something out. The way I did it was by pursuing what in comparison was a lesser goal. Now, let me explain. It's not a bad goal and it's not necessarily a bad thing. It just was something I could almost call maybe my guilty pleasure, or the thing I could escape to and feel justified in doing. But really, what I was doing was running away from the decision or the thing I was supposed to be doing. I hate to admit it because you're watching the fruit of it right now, actually, is video content production. So creating videos for YouTube under the guise, maybe illusion or the aspiration that I'd be able to grow a number of subscribers, get a lot of views, and eventually get paid through YouTube ads. It was the thing that made it seem like, yeah, sure, that's a good thing to spend my time on if I'm not doing the other stuff, which is important that I should be doing, but was running away from doing. So, I mean, in the time of my PhD, I've even created videos about it. I've put a lot of videos up on YouTube, and I don't know that I regret those videos, but I may have regretted how I went about them, in the sense that I could still have churned out those videos, but some of that time I probably should have been spending on a few things that were more important or very important. I think me building my content production skills are good. I don't regret that. I just wonder whether I could have done more on the things that were also very important. But like I said, it wasn't the content creation that was the problem. It was the fact that I was fearful and running away and using it as a form of escapism that was the problem. I hope that distinction makes sense. So the way I pursued it was that instead of working on reading articles for my PhD, writing, rewriting, learning how to write literature reviews, dealing with the discomfort of not being comfortable with doing those, and then working at it, knowing fully well that the more practice I get in something, the better I would get. Instead of doing that, when it got a little too hard, I just defaulted to, oh, I should create a video. Oh, I'm feeling inspired to create a video. Now, it's hard for me to say this because I'm like, okay, where do I go from here? Do I just stop creating YouTube videos, or what do I do instead? That I haven't fully figured out, but I'm just being open and transparent. This is me in the moment. This thinking this. I almost want to cry because I feel like I've shortchanged myself. And somehow I'm able to see myself in different parts, like distinctions of myself, my past self, my current self, my future self. And I'm shortchanging my future self in letting fear control me. And I'm an intelligent person, which then also means that I'm able to find reasons that seem justifiable for not doing the things I'm meant to be doing. Another thing I avoided was actually doing the work of sales for my voiceover business. I did try a little bit. I even got the help of what I call him a mentor or a coach to help with it, but somehow I just couldn't get very far with sales for my voiceover. But again, I don't think I did enough if I'm honest with myself. Uh, calling cold messages just terrify me. Hard to believe, right? They do. I don't even know what fear was underlying in that. I just didn't do it. How can I be the best kept secret? It's just ridiculous. But again, it's fear. I let fear direct me in the path of, okay, let's just do more videos. Maybe that'll work out. And then if that works out, I'll have more money coming in from that as a source of income. And then the other stuff that I could be paying attention to that are important may not be as important or may not be as pressing because, I have something else working. But in a sense, maybe thank God it hasn't worked out as well as I would have wanted to. Don't get me wrong, I have had some success on YouTube, but not nearly in weight or perception for me, not nearly the same weight as I would have had I been successful with the other stuff I have been working on, my PhD and voiceover sales. It would have been a lot better if I had maybe spent more time with those things, quite frankly, just because if I was able to make more progress there, it would go a longer way for me. So doing well on YouTube, being a content creator, yes, that for me is a goal, but it is a lesser goal. I'm starting to realize the higher order goal or higher level goal is finishing this PhD and then realizing the other opportunities that will come as a result of finishing this PhD. A bigger goal would be to continue in voiceover work and get good at the sales part. I feel like sales is not only a skill for voiceover, but a skill that can pay me dividends in the future as I am pursuing the entrepreneurial route or career path, you could say. I see myself as an entrepreneur who may do different things, but my core identity is an entrepreneur. Even if I go back into full-time work, I'm an entrepreneur who has chosen to do full-time work for a period of time. I'm not a full-time worker who's dabbling into entrepreneurship or a side hustle. No, I'm an entrepreneur who may do other things. But the point I'm trying to make overall anyway is that I need to say I'm sorry. My future self, Aura of the future, I'm sorry. Today's date is the 7th of October, 2025. It's a Tuesday. And again, I'm saying I'm sorry. I'm sorry for not paying attention. I'm sorry for taking too much time in places where I should have taken less time and just overcome whatever fears there were. I'm sorry for not naming the fears or the feelings that were fueled by the fears in time. I'm sorry. And I'm not just sorry, I'm also committed to doing better. I'm committed to doing the right things at the right times. I'm committed to that. So what that has meant for me over the past few weeks has been every day asking myself, what are my primary goals? They're the same thing every day, but because they're big overarching goals, but they help me reset and remember what I'm doing and why I'm doing them. And after that, the next thing I then ask myself is, what am I most likely to procrastinate on today? And whatever those things are, they're the things I need to do first in my day so that I make sure I'm able to get past them. And the funny thing is, when I started doing that, I started realizing that some of the things I thought would take me hours to do, it literally took me seconds. For example, with my PhD, I had to review some comments that were given to me about my ethics form. In my mind, I thought they were going to take a really long time, and so I was procrastinating on doing it. But by the time I sat down to get it done, it didn't take as long as I thought it would. And I just thought, oh my gosh, I've wasted so much time dreading this thing instead of just doing it. That is, for me, it's horrendous. It's a waste of time. I could have made so much more progress. And so every time in the morning, I ask myself, what am I likely to procrastinate on? And I figure out what it is. I try to do it. Now, there might be a bunch of things that just need to be done. And so I choose the one that is either the most meaningful for me or the one that is more important or more urgent, and I get that done. Sometimes I don't get everything done, but at least I know I get some of the things that I could have procrastinated on done. And for me, that is progress. And I'm so grateful for that. So, future self, I'm sure you'd be proud of me for doing that. But I'm going to do more. I'm going to do more. I'm not going to let fear stop me. I'm not going to let fear shortchange me from doing the things that I need to do. And instead, I'm going to work hard at doing the right things at the right times. I'm also going to be mindful and watch out for pursuing lesser goals in place of the things that are important to me. There were so many times when I actually thought of giving up on the PhD. I'd already thought of the way I would craft my LinkedIn post to say, okay, I have decided to take a new path, and sometimes new paths are good and stuff, just stuff that would make it seem like it was a deliberate and well put out decision as opposed to something of it simply being me running away from doing what needed to be done. But no more, I'm not doing that anymore. So what I'm committing to is to keep doing the things that scare me, to keep doing the things that I find difficult but are important to do, such that I know that I will keep making progress, and I'll make progress faster and learn quicker and just move faster and better and be more nimble because I've chosen to do that. I hope this helps whoever is watching this in future, because this is me being vulnerable and realizing that I've definitely shortchanged myself. Like I said, it's not on the big decisions, but it's the small, seemingly insignificant decisions that over time play out massively. I still don't yet know what that means for me in terms of content creation. It might also mean that I don't spend too much time there or excessive amount of time there, whether in consuming or producing, if there are other things that I'm supposed to be doing that I'm not doing. There is a balance to be struck in terms of just having a creative outlet for me anyway, and in terms of being able to de-stress. I think for me, content creation is that, and it's a healthy way of doing so and a productive way. But I should be careful not to fall into the camp of doing it so much that I neglect the other things that actually need to be done. I think that's a summary of what I wanted to say today. So, future me, I'm sorry, and I'm going to do better. And also, I'm looking forward to the great things I'm going to accomplish, because now I get it. I get it now. I get that I'm going to be different. I get that I need to be different, need to be better for myself, for my children as they come, and for you, future self. I think of my 80-year-old self. I want her to be proud of me when I look back on my life and think, you know what? You did the things that would make that future self be happy and proud. You did the things that would make your children and grandchildren proud of you. You did the things that were hard, you found hard, but decided to push through and overcome anyway. And as a result, you became a better person for yourself and for the people around you. That's something I want to be able to say when I'm 80 and with many grandchildren running up and down. I made that change today, October 7. Now we just crossed over into October 8. 2020, Aura made a change. Aura did the right thing. She apologized for how she'd been doing things so far. And I know to other people's standards, it may have been good enough, but she knew for herself it wasn't good enough. And now, October 8th, 2025, she made a change. And that change sparked many, many changes in her life that she could not have imagined. And she's happy for it. And she's happy for yourself would be proud. All right. Let me stop there and go ahead and do the things that are important. I'll catch you in the next one.